So if you could maybe perhaps talk just a bit about the poetry that's coming out.
Yes.
The book that's coming out.
Poetry is not about the words and how they're arranged on a page. For me, poetry is the unexpected utterance of the soul that comes to renew us when we least expect it. And so you don't have to write it, the words are the trail, and you don't have to write it down to be a poet. It's what keeps us close to life. And you know, when I was, as a way to move into talking about the book, you know, when I was young and I did my doctorate in poetry, and I hoped, and with the most earnest intention, if I could devote myself and really apply myself, maybe I would write one or two poems that might matter over time and add to the literature. And then cancer came along and turned me inside out. And now forget writing great poems. Now I was forced, I needed to discover true poems that would help me live. And now all these years later, I want to be the poem.
Yes.
And the book that's coming out in November is called, it's really a gathering of 20 years of my poetry. I'm very grateful and excited about it. It's called, it contains 3 volumes of poetry in it.
Yes.
And the title collection of the book is The Way Under the Way, the Place of True Meeting. And let me share 2 short poems from
I
it
would love that.
that speak to our conversation. And so one is just simply called My Life. My life. I am a fish in search of bottom when I surface, in search of surface when I bottom. And the ribbon of God's sea passing through my gills is what I feel and think and speak. And this is where the Upaguru, or the teacher, is a little fish. And this is a profound teaching that is inherent in fish. So fish, we learn 7th, 8th grade biology or whatever, that they are air-breathing creatures that live in water. Well, that's miraculous. That's miraculous. And how do they do this? Well, we learn they have this organ that's called a gill. And when water, which is made of hydrogen and oxygen, passes through the gill, through a process of diffusion, the fish extracts the oxygen, which allows it to breathe, and discharges the rest. Well, for us, our heart is our gill. Our heart is our gill. And we extract what is essential from the river of experience that keeps us alive. And we discharge the rest. If we don't, the heart gets clogged. And this is how we move and live and gather meaning, day after day. Now, one of the things that we're taught early on about fish is that they have to keep moving in the water or they will die, because the water has to pass through their gill. Well, I learned from a marine biologist, this actually isn't true of all fish. And this is very important, because as we look further into this, it shows us why there is a need for inner practice. This is only true of skates and sharks, because skates and sharks, their gills don't have any muscle. The rest of fish have muscle on their gills, so they have a choice. They can have the water pass through their gills because they swim, or they can hover and pump the water through their gills. They have a choice. Skates and sharks who don't have muscles, they have no choice except to speed along in every direction to get what they need. Well, this is,
it's a great metaphor for life.
It's a great metaphor for life, and the muscle on our heart is inner practice. If we don't have an inner practice of any kind, formal, informal, any tradition, it doesn't matter which one, but if we don't have any, what are we left with? We are left to be human sharks and skates. And now this is why some people find themselves rushing into adventure and danger and risk and, everywhere going faster than they can possibly withstand in order to have the water of life move through their heart and so they can get what's essential. Or you can develop an inner practice and have muscles on your heart, and you can stand still and pump the water of life through your heart. And the important thing is that we are always both. We can forget in a day and be rushing like a shark or a skate. But the beauty of being a human being, a spirit in a body, is that we can return. We can stop. We can develop or redevelop those inner muscles. So the other little poem
Very good.
is called The Moment of Poetry, and I purposely call it that because it's not about words, it's about the deeper sense of poetry. The moment of poetry. When the sweet ache of being alive, lodged between who you are and who you will be, awakens you. Befriend this moment. It will guide you. Its sweetness is what holds you. Its ache is what moves you on.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Oh, you're
It's
so
been
welcome.
lovely, and thank you for giving us this opportunity.
You are so welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.